And here to help us discuss what happened with Alabama, Oklahoma, and so much more on today's show. He is the editor of Touchdown Alabama, a very good friend of Alabama at the Voice of College Football Network. As you have seen him many, many times discussing the latest great takes of Alabama football, and you've seen him on the Paul Feinbaum show over the last 5 to 6 years. He is the one and only himself, Stephen M. Smith.
What's going on, man? Happy to be here, man. This is awesome. Excited to be joining you guys on a Monday. Yeah, Monday. And you wake up Sunday after what happened over the weekend, and thank goodness for me, I had some chicken nachos. Wife was really good to me after waking up after what in the world was that on Saturday, but I'm okay. I'm okay.
We're at that everything's fine moment where it's not fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, you give Oklahoma credit for the way they came out there. They played physical. They knew what they had to do. But at the same time, you look at Alabama and you go, this is the most Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team we've ever seen. This is an Alabama team that can go out there and beat Georgia. You beat Kirby Smart. This is an Alabama team that can go on the road to Baton Rouge and boat race LSU. But this is also a team that goes to Nashville, loses to Vanderbilt. Credit Vanderbilt's better than what they've ever been in the last 20 years or so. But you go on the road and you lose to Vandy. You go on the road to Knoxville and you lose to the Volunteers. And then you go up to Norman, Oklahoma, where you have no business losing to the Sooners, and you drop that one too. So it's a very perplexing season.
It's just been a mixed bag. It's like you said, 1 minute we're doing great against Georgia, next minute we're doing great against LSU, and we're falling apart against Vanderbilt. And we didn't even score a touchdown against the Sooners. And it was the first time since 2011 where we didn't even score a single touchdown. That was against LSU in that famous 2011 battle where it was the game of the century. Man.
It's weird. And then, it's the first time since 2004 when you only score 3 points.
That's insane.
It's the first time since 2004 when you had Mike Shula as the head coach where you score only 3 points. I believe your offensive coordinator at that time was Dave Rader. I think it was Dave Rader, and you only scored 3 points.
That's so horrible.
Yeah. But here's I know it doesn't. I don't want to belabor it too much because I'm going to talk about it later. But we did score a touchdown. They just threw a flag.
Yeah,
over and over and over. And
there was a touchdown, but apparently somebody was covered up. There was illegal touching. But there was nothing illegal about that. I mean, the guy wasn't covered up at all. I mean, the touchdown wouldn't change the outcome of the game, but it would have at least given a little bit more momentum. But it is what it is. DeBoer had a very, very intense conversation with the SEC officials today, Steve Shaw and his guys. So hopefully Shaw, talk some sense into his guys that he has officiating these games in this conference.
Yeah, I went through and I got a couple of clips that I looked at and that clearly show, the mistake by the official and the way the biggest problem with the official was, how late he threw that flag. The ball was almost, the play was almost over. It was within half a second of being over, and then all of a sudden this flag flies out of his pocket. He's, he's 30 yards away from the end zone just magically. And I don't know if somebody was screaming in his ear there on the sideline. He was covered. You never know if somebody was screaming and then all of a sudden he may have had that moment where he thought about it. And I don't know, but clearly he was wrong. Hopefully he'll be reprimanded or whatever they do. I don't even know if they do that, but It was an ugly, ugly call. But I agree. Alabama got outplayed. Just watch the game. Tape doesn't lie. They always say in the big eye, that tape up there in the sky, the big eye don't lie.
Yeah, it was it was not up to Alabama standard at all. You couldn't stop the run, which was sad because coming into the game, you knew Oklahoma, the receivers injured. I think they're down to their second or third string running back, Xavier Robinson, and Jackson Arnold, who had struggled all year throwing the football. Brent Venables goes, "Okay, guys, we're just going to be physical with them. Go out there and just be physical with them." And that's what happened. They ran the ball for 257 yards. I mean, Jackson Arnold got 131. The running back had 107, 2 touchdowns. Bama could not win the edge at all. They played keep away. Even Alabama's offense kept giving the ball back with turnovers. So Bama came out flat. They came out flat at the absolute wrong time.
Yeah. Well, I went back and started just isolating plays and stuff like that. They did a lot of the old school counter tray, a lot of traps and things to that nature. And it was pretty much a game plan that one, we're going to run the ball against Alabama. And then number two, we're going to make Jalen Milroe beat us. Yeah, we're going to make him throw. They stopped the run, and they made him sit back there in the pocket and throw the football. And Alabama had nothing to counter. And it's starting to be a problem. I mean, it's one of those games. I remember years ago, I went to watch Alabama play. It was in the 80s, and we were playing Southern Miss. And it was by it was almost halftime. We was at Bryant Dean. No, it wasn't. It was in Legion Field in Birmingham. And it was about halfway through the second quarter, you realized that, one, Alabama wasn't going to score, and number two, Southern Miss they were going to win the game. It was the crowd, everything, because Alabama, once again, like they've done this season, they give you no it just doesn't seem like a fight back, counter punch, and you go here and we'll do this. And it doesn't seem like the character of the team is to really learn how to dig out of the whatever. It's almost like if they do dig out, it's by chance, but it's nothing where another team gets ahead and you're like, you just know this team's going to crawl their way back into it. I don't see the leadership there.
So my thing, Coach, with that is you look back. So from 2007 to 2017, and then 2020 was a strong year also. But from 2009 to 2017, so that's probably the betterment of at least over 10 years. But the betterment of over 10 years there with Nick Saban, Bama football had a foundation and an identity. You knew exactly what Alabama football was during that time period. You knew when Alabama stepped off the bus, off the plane, off a boat, they were the most physical, disciplined, well-conditioned, relentless, tough, mean, in-your-face, mentally destroy you football team. You knew that. And Nick Saban had those guys trained like assassins. And you had people on the coaching staff that were the exact same way. Scott Cochran, Burton Burns, Bo Davis, Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt. Like, you had generals on that coaching staff that made sure they got into the psychology of the mind of those players to make them that mentally tough and that mentally strong-willed and prepared. You look at this coaching staff here, you don't know what the foundation is for this Alabama team. You don't know what their foundation is. You don't know what their identity is.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking to myself, I still don't know what is the identity of this team.
You really don't know. I mean, they could make a couple of explosive plays, and that's it, especially offensively. Now, there are moments where they try to run the football a little, but they don't stick to it with much consistency at all. Jalen Milroe, great athlete, but he's not a complete quarterback. He is not a distributor, passer of the football. And we have seen this be a problem now in his second year as a starter. And when you look at the offensive line, what's the identity there? I mean, that group came in, was supposed to be the strength of his team, but this group can't pass block.
They're too big. I mean, they're just too big.
I mean, they can't pass block. They're not run blocking the way they need to. And then the biggest thing of all is defensively, while we're seeing some improvement, game by game, the one problem is a running quarterback has hurt this defense. Against South Florida, you had the Byron Brown kid running that hurt. You look at Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, his ability to run, extend plays, that hurt. You look at when Nico Iamaleava started to get it going there in the second half against Tennessee and was able to pull it out. And then, of course, this past week, Jackson Arnold, the ability to run really hurt Alabama.
Hey, Jack, pull up that first set of clips. Start with number 1. All right. And so here's what you got. This was all night, and you can see it from the start. You can see the linebackers right there. Number 1 is keying on the quarterback. All right. And you can see the second linebacker right there is keying on number 8, the running back. But nobody's keying on, look where the ball's going. Look at the guard and tackle. They're pulling. Which way do you think the ball's going? That's right. It's coming right at us. Go to the second one. All right. You can see linebackers out with number 8 like we thought. Okay. Here's the other linebacker. He's keying on the quarterback. He's out just like that. But look who's in front of him. Everybody else block away, block away. Look, I mean, it's perfect. Perfect. And then you see right there, here comes the guard, right there on the linebacker. I think that's Lawson or whatever. He's going to smother him up. And then you can see the other offensive lineman right there in yellow. He's going to straighten and go to the next clip. Boom. There he goes. I mean, it's 10 yards down the field. They did this all night. Go to the next play. I'll show you one more. Okay, here we go. It's going to be the same thing, but they're going to add a little trick in right here. All right. See the slot receiver at the bottom where it says motion? They're going to start motioning him away. But up at the top, you're going to see the tackle and that tight end. They're going to pull and they're going to trap toward the bottom of the screen. Go to number 2. All right. You can see tackle A is on A. B is on B. You can see C is going to block C. D is going to block D. But here comes the tackle and the tight end. Now look at number 21. He's going away, and that linebacker that you see right there at that, what is that, the 26-yard line, 30-yard line. He's already moving, shifting wide. All right, go to the next one. The play, look at where the play's going. The play's going to the bottom of the screen. Here they come. Now that receiver, that motion, he's cutting back. The receiver that was or the running back at the bottom of the screen, here comes number 1 on a stunt. And then look what happens. There's those 2 linebackers. And here comes the guard. Here comes the tackle. Here comes the tight end. They're going to trap and then go to the next play or the next shot. Well, we skipped one to go back. Yeah. Well, anyway, that may be the last one, but you're going to see that running back. He's going 30, 40 yards upfield. On the next one right here, here's Alabama. First play of the second half right there. Look at it. Second half right there. And then, block the nearest threat. Well, I got a yellow arrow right there at the nearest threat. Now, Milroe, this is a called route. There's no read. There's no anything. He's going to take the snap. He's going to throw it over there to the outside receiver. The inside receiver on the line of scrimmage, all right, you block the nearest threat. Next clip, the guy runs right by him. Next pick. Guy, look at him. There, 6. Misses. Milroe. No read. He's throwing it to number 2, Ryan Williams. Called play. But look at that receiver that number 6 missed. Lack of execution. And then, boom, he's going to catch it, run it for a touchdown. I mean, this was just constant. That, on offense, all Oklahoma did was trap, misdirection, trap. And on offense, it was just lack of execution. Defensively for Alabama, blocked, couldn't tackle the soul. And then last, I think I have the touchdown they called back. Yeah, and you can see right there. All right, ruling football, guys. Last guy on the line scrimmage is eligible, is an eligible receiver. Okay. Now they used to, y'all remember the old tackle eligible? Go back to that previous one. The tackle eligible, you can see the last guy on the line of scrimmage at the top of the screen is the tackle. And back in the old days, 60, Coach Bryant made that play popular because that tackle at the top of the screen was eligible. And so he'd fake it right and throw it back because nobody thought offensive lineman's not going to catch the ball. But there's the rule. Last guy on the line of scrimmage is eligible. You can look at the bottom of the screen. There is Ryan Williams on the line of scrimmage, eligible. To go to the next one. All right. And look, here we are right here. You can see he's scrambling. He's getting ready to release the ball. There's Williams. All right. Look at the referee at the 36-yard line at the very bottom of the screen. Ball's in the air. He's scrambling. Go to the next one. And then boom. All of a sudden, look, Williams is in the end zone. Look, all of a sudden now there's the flag.
It was just bad call right there. But
the last guy on the line of scrimmage is eligible.
Steven, what did you think about that play where the touchdown was called back?
I'm first off, before the flag happened, I'm like, what a catch by Ryan Williams.
Exactly.
I didn't think he caught the ball. And the fact that he caught it, he controlled it all the way through, got a footing. I think he got both feet in. I'm like, what an athletic catch. I'm like, he caught that, and you're thinking, okay, Bama's got some type of momentum. They got some type of confidence now. And then when the flag comes out, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, is it a pass interference? Is it something after the play? And then it becomes a illegal touching or the guy was covered. I'm like, who was covered? And they go back and
and here's what bothered me. If you're a referee, I mean, that's an immediate call. As soon as the ball snaps, you see it immediately. He's whatever. He's covered. You see it immediately. Ball snap, you throw it. You don't throw it before the snap. It's not a pre-snap penalty. It's after the snap. You throw it immediately. This is the guy has almost caught the ball in the end zone. I mean, we're 1, 2, 3, 4 Mississippi into the play, and then he throws. That's why I'm thinking somebody on the sideline was over there just he was covered. He was covered. It made no sense. No, that is an immediate, as soon as the ball snapped, penalty.
Absolutely.
It was not a good night for Crimson Tide Nation. That we could definitely agree on. It was like, it looked like a sure victory, which I told a lot of people last week, just because it looks like a sure victory does not mean it will be. Yeah. Did anybody not learn from that Vanderbilt game?
I'm just saying that I mean, you go into Nashville thinking, oh, it's just old, man. Bam will be able to smack those guys up. No. This is not Jefferson Pilot Sports Vandy anymore.
No.
And they showed you right then and there that you come in here half stepping if you want to. We're gonna black your eye. And Vandy blacked Bama's eye that day.
And then the problem is, like you said earlier, there's no response. There's no response. You punch me in the nose. What am I gonna do? Alabama just doesn't seem to have a response to it. And a lot of times, and I'm going to be honest with you now, that comes back to the coaching. What kind of coaching you get? Because players assume, usually the players will take the identity of the staff, the coaches, and that kind of stuff. But right now, Alabama, you punch them in the nose, and I just don't see a lot of response. It takes them, it's like everybody's looking around for somebody, to do something when it comes down to me.
Exactly. And I go back to earlier this season, Coach DeBoer said something that really struck me odd when he sat there and said, we don't have a killer's mentality right now. Like, Kagan said, we don't have a killer's instinct right now. And I thought, man, like, when you had Coach Saban in Tuscaloosa, that killer's instinct was the whole foundation. Yeah. And now you look at with Coach DeBoer, I understand it's year one, but for him to come out to the national media some local guys too, but the national media and say we don't have that killer's instinct. That was a very eye-opening statement.
It is, and you're very, very, very correct on that. That's troubling. I mean, you come in as a new coach, you set the tone. You got to set it, and if that is not the tone, I mean, remember Saban came in and did that fourth quarter program.
Yeah, I mean, Saban literally came in, did the fourth quarter program, did the tough summer conditioning, the 110s, all of that. Saban came in and said, look, everybody else, get out the way. I'm bringing my process. Get out the way. I got this. Y'all just stay over there. And I got the football program.
I'll tell you this, too. My father-in-law played at Alabama for Coach Bryant, and he said, and I want to say it was during winter workouts or something, but they would work out, and coaches would take them up in the top of the gymnasium there, and they had buckets all over the place, and it was like the job of the coaches was to make the players work them so hard that they would puke in those buckets and everything. So I mean, you set the tone as a head coach. And if you don't want to set it, if you want to be the Bill Curry, not the rah, you got to have guys in there that set the tone. Like you said, Cochran, he'd come in there with that little voice and all that kind of stuff and set the tone. You got to have people that you have to have a way in which you get players' attention.
You're right. You have to have psychological motivators on your team. Scott Cochran was one of those guys. Bo Davis was one of those guys when he was here with the defensive line. Burton Burns, as a running backs coach, was one of those guys. Bobby Williams, special teams coach. Bama had guys that came for this program. Sal Sunseri, I called him the Italian Mafia. Sal Sunseri would just say different things to push a button, and players would do stuff they never thought they could do, but Sal Sunseri just said something and pushed a button. Yeah. And that player's out performing at a whole different level. And with this staff, you may have one, possibly two coaches that could push a button and get those guys to play how they want them to play, but it's not like it was in the Saban era where you had several guys on staff that could do that.
Well, gentlemen, I